Welcome to episode 4 of Catch Up with Clarity. Hi, my name is Claire, and if it's your first time on this podcast, don't hesitate to subscribe to the YouTube channel as I am going to upload some podcasts. So for today, I am going to talk about books, and these books are the books that I'm looking forward to become a movie. And I have my top 3 list here. And I'm just gonna go through each of them and just talk about what the book is about, its general plot, and a little bit or a few realizations or what I learned from the book. So without further ado, the first book that I read a few years ago is called It Ends With Us. This is actually from Colleen Hoover. And if you're familiar with her, I guess this book rings a bell to your brain. So the book is about the main characters, namely Lily Bloom and Ryle Kincaid. So back when I was reading this and I find Ryle, the way he was described in the book, he's a surgeon, and the way he was described is that he's super hot and he wears scrubs. So I was telling my friend that what if this becomes a movie, and I think Ryle would be the next new crush of the people or the millennial, I guess. So yeah, a little fun to that. And the book is actually romance, and well, most of the books that I'm going to tell you are romance. And this book, It Ends With Us, it's about between Lily and Ryle and how they develop their relationship. The first time they met, I guess it was in a rooftop. They were talking, and then eventually they delve into this relationship since Ryle's sister was working for Lily, and Lily has this flower shop. So most of the time, Ryle and Lily are able to see each other since they were connected. They were connected through her sister, through Ryle's sister. So eventually their intimacy increased and they develop a lot of feelings, but little did Lily know that Ryle has this tendency to hurt her. Or eventually in the relationship, Lily will discover that Ryle is uncontrolling and to his the way he handle their relationship, and he is always jealous. He hurts Lily a lot, and that's so sad because Lily actually experienced a abusive environment from her parents. So it's so ironic. And then back then, Lily had this guy or a friend, a special friend, namely Atlas. Yeah, Atlas Corrigan. So I just searched back their names so that I'm aware of the characters. So Lily actually has this special relationship with Atlas, and when they see each other again in the future, and Ryle is there at the same time, Ryle becomes jealous, or Ryle is always jealous to that relationship Lily and Atlas has, even though they're just friends and they're just checking on each other, because of course they had a relationship back then, or they were together back then. That relationship actually was when Lily was so caught off and he was for Lily it was too much to handle her abusive environment from her parents, and then Atlas was there for her. That kind of relationship. So Ryle eventually found out about them, although there was really nothing between them that could ruin the relationship between Lily and Ryle. But then again, it was too complex because Lily is telling Atlas that her relationship with Ryle was not good, or in short, it was toxic. So that's how the story goes, and apparently in the end, it was quite satisfying though, because Lily made a good decision about her relationship with Ryle, and so it was quite satisfying, and she was really bold about it. She was courageous enough to really end her relationship with Ryle. Now I'm telling you the ending part. So if you guys wanna read this more or check out on this book, you can actually do that, and yeah, that's how it goes. So it's just so sad that you have this relationship, you find someone, and then eventually or later on you would discover that you're not for each other, and both of you are not healthy with your relationship because it's just toxic, and it's not healthy for yourself. And in the end, of course, you have to choose your well-being. You have to make yourself a priority than others, because how could you deal with other people around you, or how could you handle someone if you're not in good condition, or you're not mentally healthy? So I guess that's what I realized about the book. Like, do not resist, or do not deal long enough with toxic relationship until such time you discover it, because, or do not stay in a toxic relationship because it doesn't genuinely contribute to your well-being. And I think it doesn't just settle for like intimate relationship. It can be on friends or family or whatever, like acquaintances. Just, you have to choose yourself at the end of the day, because that's the most important thing. It's even if you have to be honest with your feelings, and even if you have to admit that to the person, you just have to be really true to what is happening. I guess that's the thing that I really learned from that book, and it's actually good. It's a good book, and I recommend it a lot. Yeah, it's a 2016 romance novel. So the next on the list is a book that is still from Colleen Hoover called November 9. So the main characters are Fallon and Ben, and November 9 is the title of the book because Fallon was the girl, or is the girl, and she is in this place. I think it was in Boston. I really forgot. So she was in this place and she has to leave that day, and that day was November 9, which is also the title of the book. And Fallon met Ben unexpectedly, and it was an untimely attention, or affection rather, for them, because they both discover each other and they met and they like each other. And so they decided to just, since Fallon chose or opt to leave the city or the place, and they decided, or they how do you call this, like they just, yeah, they decided, or they agreed to one another that they would see each other again on November 9. So the following year, they would see each other every November 9, I guess. Yeah, the following years. So, eventually, the story developed, and Fallon is unaware that Ben has something to do with her past because Fallon experienced a tragedy back then and Ben has something to do with that. But Fallon wasn't aware of Ben and she didn't saw Ben when that tragedy happened. And so Ben was the only one who was aware of that and she knows Fallon. So basically the time he met Fallon on November 9, he already knew. So Ben is somehow, I don't know, like he is maybe lying in a way to Fallon, and Fallon doesn't really know that. And she thought that Ben is true and honest to her, but eventually Ben would disclose about that story to Fallon. So that's just how the story goes. And it's one of my favorite books actually because I find it interesting and the way Hoover wrote the book is just so beautiful but at the same time so complex, and the way Ben expressed her love, his genuine love to Fallon is just so vulnerable and it's really authentic, I guess. So yeah, November 9 is one of the books that I love from Colleen Hoover, although I haven't read some of her books or all of her books, but November 9 is another list to be added to your books actually. So I really recommend the book. And my top 3 or the last one that oh, by the way, yeah, I realized that in from the November 9 book, there are actually things that you're not aware of. Maybe some, or I don't know, I can't relate to Fallon. That's probably I can't extract some reflections from the book, but maybe if I'm in Fallon's position, it's crazy to think because you fell in love with a person and then little did you know that he did something wrong to you and you're not aware of it back then. So yeah, I guess it's I'll leave it to Fallon and Ben how they are going to deal with that. But November 9 is a good book. You guys should check it out. Next, I recently read a book called Love Virtually. This is by Daniel Glattauer. I'm not sure on how to pronounce that, but I didn't really want to read this book, but quarantine made me do it, and I already had this preconceived judgment where this book is all about chat, emails, whatever. It has something to do with technology, and it's actually timely because we are dominated by the advances of our world right now. So, Love Virtually is a book about Leo and Emmy, and they're both exchanging emails, basically. Emmy accidentally sent an email to Leo, and then this caught Leo's attention, although at first they were very sarcastic with one another, but eventually the way they send their emails became different, and it sparked their attention. And eventually they were interested in one another. They talk things that they never thought they would say it to this person. And so their emails are quite lengthy actually in the book. So they spill secrets already, and eventually they were becoming very true and authentic to one another and telling secrets that or experiences that they've went through. So it's actually, well, the ending was a cliffhanger. It's super, like, I wasn't happy about the ending because it ended that way, but I bet there's another book to it. And I'm still looking for the second book because I wasn't satisfied with the ending, although it was so thrilling and so exciting. the story is actually really good. I can picture out the happenings, even if they are just exchanging emails. But there were some roller coaster or climax on the story wherein they decided to see each other in person, but eventually they ended up not seeing each other because some circumstances occurred. But yeah, that's how the story goes actually, and it's a good book. I love it, so you guys should try and check it out. And I'm just gonna uh, put the list of books on the description box so that you can check it out. And yeah, going forward, the realization that I made from this book was that it's freaking 2020, and it's, even if we are, like, for this is subjective though. For my opinion, I still am not in in favor of emails or like relationship through chats or through emails, because it's even difficult to talk to the person, like when you see each other. How much more you just email one another, you just chat, or I don't know, via the technology is just so difficult. And my sister was also telling that you cannot see the authenticity or the originality of how the person expressed his or her feelings, and you cannot read his or her eyes. You cannot um, see the way he or she express those words, express his or her opinion. It's not visible. So yeah, even if we are very much dominated with a lot of technology nowadays, I still really opt for like the human to human interaction. Nothing beats that. And yeah, the experience is also really special when you get to talk to another person. So, although Love Virtually is a good book, but yeah, it's just a unique kind of story in this, which is timely today. Yeah, timely. So, mm, I'm really looking forward for these books to become a movie. Hopefully, someone would get this books and extract something out of it. Just checking up on these books because the stories are so beautiful and so unique, and maybe we really need another kind of these stories because we have been caught off with like The Fault in Our Stars, Paper Towns, and something fresh and something new is kind of, I think, what people are looking for. And yeah, for me, this is also the list of books that I'm really looking forward to become a movie. And that, my friends, is the end of this podcast since I don't have enough time. But thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys are okay and doing great and stay at home. And I hope these books are on your list, hopefully this quarantine. And if you guys want to suggest books to me, please do. And I just want to engage another book as well, especially this quarantine. And I hope you guys are safe. Thank you again for listening to this episode with Catch Up with Clarity. I hope you guys are fine and see you on another episode.